All right, yo, what's up? We are live. We are live. I'm coming at you with five. Let's get the crowd in. How's everyone doing tonight? This beautiful Saturday night, the weekend of the National Football Championship. Playoff games are going on. Whoever you are, wherever you are, thank you for joining this channel. We're trying to build it up. We got people coming in the chat room. So I'm going to continue in a little bit. I got to actually grab my charger because this computer's going to be dying soon, and we don't want that on us. So give me just 30 seconds, guys. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Y'all excuse me, guys. I had to get my laptop charger, and we're trying to get some more people in. So more people come in. We got some people in there. If you're in the chat room, say something. Come on in. Come on in. Let's chop it up. It's not my glasses, but this screen looks, I don't know what it is. It's too blurry or whatever. Like it shouldn't be looking foggy and stuff like that. I don't think it's my camera looks clean. So I'm gonna begin shortly. So it's getting late, but it's a Saturday, guys. We're gonna enjoy this. This is gonna be a good one. I'll get started. I'll just go ahead and get started. So hope everyone is doing good. I don't know what your plans are. The holidays are over with. So, of course, in New Orleans, the holiday is just beginning because we got Mardi Gras to deal with in February. So they declared it carnival season just this past Monday. So we're busy with gearing up with that. So wherever you guys are, you probably, if you're not in the South or anything like that, you guys don't deal with Mardi Gras, but in New Orleans, that's where it's big at. And of course, I know they have carnival in Alabama, and even in South America, they all do a carnival and so forth. But yeah, usually when it's the start of the new season of the new year, that's when it picks up. Excuse me, I'm sorry. A long day. I had a funeral I was at earlier. Rest in peace to my cousin Michael, and shout out to my family. But let's get into it, guys. So a lot's been going on. I don't have a particular order where I'm going to start with this, but anybody checked out? Well, I'll just start with this. I just finished watching with my family. We were watching the movie, The Murder of Nicole Brown Simpson. Now, just so you guys know, because this is a review, if you haven't seen it, there are spoilers to it. So if you want to watch the movie, don't want to hear about it, you can go away. I'm going to be talking about it a little bit, and details in the movie, things of that nature. So just so you know, now movie wasn't pretty long. Basically, it chronicles, I want to say, the last month and a half, probably less than that. I'd say about a month or so of Nicole Brown Simpson. And what it did in this movie, it basically, instead of putting the onus or the murder of Nicole Brown Simpson on O.J. Simpson, they put it on a man by the name of Glenn Rogers. And it details Nicole Brown Simpson's relationship with this man. Now, I knew or had heard a few years ago or prior to that, about a guy named Glenn Rogers being involved in the murder of Nicole Brown Simpson. In particular, he is a convicted murderer, I believe, in Florida. And I heard that he had confessed it, and it had been reported. But of course, when you deal with national news media, and I've done videos, as you know, guys, before about O.J. Simpson, about Bill Cosby and Michael Jackson, you know that this is a big multi-million dollar industry. As Tariq Nasheed even pointed out in various videos, the O.J. did it industry is worth millions. So they put the onus on O.J. Simpson. Meanwhile, millions of black men are who already have targets on their backs. Well, that target gets a little bit more narrower, and pinpoints on black men. As Ice-T would say, America tends to look at black people just like one big nigger. And if you think of the laws that changed as a result of the O.J. Simpson trial, when you look at the fact that a lot of domestic violence laws came into place, how different domestic violence centers were set up, and millions of dollars were donated to uh, these centers, as well as the careers that were established as a result of that trial. The magazines that were sold, the book deals that were made by the prosecutors, like Marsha Clark. I mean, Marsha Clark basically got her whole career, became a millionaire overnight because of that, because she gets on court TV and CNN and all of these other places. And even Nancy Grace got started. Hell, an entire network like E got its start basically from the O.J. Simpson case. Now, I think he may have been around at that time, but really when that became televised, and I remember watching it as a kid, all the focus was on that trial. And he basically was in that courtroom day after day. I remember being about 8 or 9 years old when that trial started, when all of that stuff really started. So I remember certain aspects of the case. And in how it relates to the movie with Rogers, basically they say things that we had already even speculated, how Nicole Brown Simpson, and this obviously it's not a reason why she was murdered, but she slept around, and in particular, it hinted in the movie, and this is spoiler alert, that Faye Resnick, who was this big friend of Nicole Brown Simpson, actually they looked alike. Uh, it hinted that they had some type of lesbian relationship, and it's probably could be true. I've heard different things. Judge Joe Brown even talked about, very interesting. He talked about O.J. Simpson recently on his show with Valerie Denise Jones and Dr. Randy Short. And Judge, if you guys know, when I've had Judge Joe Brown on, even on this broadcast, he has even chimed in on the O.J. case, saying how he was innocent and how he looked at the evidence, how he knew that this was possibly a crime committed by two people or more. That the glove did not fit O.J. Simpson. He actually knows the manufacturer of the glove. He knows that a knife, while it was used in the crime, that could have not it could not have been committed by one person that did this. The gloves. He said there was probable cause against Mark Furman, but not on O.J. Simpson. Now, I don't know if the doctor knew about Glenn Rogers, but he did talk about the DNA evidence and how that DNA evidence was traceable. And I remember things like this to someone from the Mediterranean, particularly from the island of Sicily. Now, what is interesting that nobody knows, that people forget, and I'm going to go back to the movie, Nicole Brown Simpson's sister, I believe Denise Simpson, was dating a mafia hitman. And you guys can look it up. He was with the Los Angeles mob. That restaurant, the Mezzaluna restaurant, which I don't believe is there anymore, they've said has a front or was a hub for many Italian gangsters from the mafia. I've heard that. I've also heard, and I know this that for a fact because I've researched this, that several people that work at that restaurant or people that were associated with Ron and Nicole were murdered in violent fashion. Look up Michael Nigg, Bruce Cantor, I believe not Bruce Cantor, excuse me. Can't think of his name. I think it's Steve Kent. I'm gonna double check, but how I heard about Glenn Rogers. And in the movie, I'm just going to tell you who plays who. Nick Stahl plays the character, the man Glenn Rogers, and Nicole Brown Simpson is played by, you can find on Amazon, it's on demand. They have a movie review of it, and of course, they gave it a 2.5 rating. Nicole Brown Simpson is played by none other than Mina Savari. Okay, Mina Savari. I believe Tanya Manning plays Faye Resnick. Agnes Bruckner plays Chris Kardashian. Drew Roy is Ron Goldman. He was the man that was killed with Nicole Brown Simpson. The guy that played OJ didn't even look like OJ Simpson, but his name was Gene Freeman. And OJ was not even in the movie, I don't think, until practically the very end, maybe about 5 minutes of an hour and 25-minute movie. Now, I didn't think it was the best movie ever made. I certainly, it was missing some things. It was only an hour and 20 minutes, so obviously it didn't become about O.J. Simpson or the a repeat of the docu series or mini series. I should say docu, the People versus O.J. Simpson that came on in, I believe it was 2017, 2016 on FX. And they started this whole resurgence. I remember with the O.J. Simpson case, like this big thing, like people were just into it again. And that's because a new generation of kids who were coming up that did not grow up in the era that we grew up in, who actually saw the case, a lot of them don't know, were not familiar with the facts, so they can be susceptible to whatever the media, to whatever narrative mainstream media would like to push. And of course, they like to push the OJ did it in narrative. So the movie was not, so other things in the movie, they show how, when it ties to Glenn Rogers, that Glenn Rogers meets Nicole Brown Simpson as this painter to a next door neighbor. And apparently, eventually, she meets him. She lets him in the house. He of course, he fixes up her house, and eventually, Nicole, and what's interesting, she's let him in her house, right then meeting him, like a complete stranger, just walks into the house with his undershirt on and jeans. And not too long after that, they end up having sex. And of course, she notices he's talking to himself after sex, and he explodes in violence, and it's almost like he had split personality disorder. He starts talking to a guy named Charlie. So, and I'm giving spoilers away, so I'm just telling you guys this. Now, they did cover, to this extent, O.J. Simpson and the domestic violence abuse. And what was interesting that I found was how in the movie Nicole was talking about how OJ took care, he's taking care of all of my family. They all love him. And that is true. He did take care of that entire family of Nicole Brown Simpson, because once they were married, and he being this millionaire football star, this television star, he was doing movies, they're able to provide for their families. That's typically what most NFL players, actors will do. Now, I don't know. Now, of course, OJ was married to a black woman at one time, and they had children. And one of their children, I believe the youngest child that he had with his black wife, had actually drowned in his family pool once. And who knows if that's where all that stuff with OJ started, about him, with white women. I don't know. But I don't believe he murdered that woman. And the movie kind of technically, to make it look, they made it seem like Rogers, clearly Rogers did the deed, but somehow or another, at the very end, and this was interesting, they tried to tie it where almost it seemed like at the recital where OJ is leaving the parking lot, he runs into Glenn Rogers. Now, during the film, they show Glenn Rogers murdering several of the women, some of whom even resembled Nicole Brown Simpson. And one of the women actually was Nicole Brown Simpson's neighbor. That's how she met Glenn Rogers. And of course, and they even talked about it in the movie. And Nicole Brown Simpson actually recognized the neighbor and recognized, of course, Glenn Rogers. And this all happened in Los Angeles, California. Now, he was a suspect. Now, I'm just looking at Wikipedia. Of course, it's not 100% reliable, but he had several victims. One is suspected, and there was one in Los Angeles named Sandra Gallagher. And, he was convicted for that, sentenced to death. But Rogers apparently moved back and forth. Now, where I learned about Glenn Rogers is a book that you guys can read, and I've talked about this, by Dr. Henry Johnson, called Double Cross for Blood. He actually has a documentary series that he did with his brother, Thomas Johnson. It was called Serpents Rising, and actually you can go on YouTube. It's free. I think it's still up there. We can check and see, and I'll put the link. Hold on. And I've spoken to Dr. Johnson before about it, but if you read the book Double Cross for Blood, he goes into detail about O.J. Simpson, how he got involved with it. And Dr. Johnson has actually been on Good Morning America, if you remember when O.J. was being paroled and they had that big parole hearing that was televised, something that I've never heard of, seen before, where a parole hearing was televised. Yes, this was 11 years ago. It's called Serpents Rising. This is Thomas Johnson's website. And another thing they talk about, too, that is not mentioned are the phone records between Nicole Brown Simpson and her mother on the night that she was killed. That actually show that she was alive after 10:30. Remember, O.J. Simpson is going to catch a plane out to New York, and he was getting prepared to fly on an airplane. So, family, I'm going to give you some homework. What you were hearing too was that was the actual documentary intro.
This is the autopsy report on both Ron Goldman and
That's Dr. Henry Johnson.
According to this report, Lewis Brown told the coroner's investigator, Claudine Ratcliffe,
That's Dr. Thomas Johnson.
Nicole Brown Simpson was last known to be alive at 11 o'clock that evening, talking to her mother.
There are records that show that Nicole Brown Simpson called her mom at or about 11 p.m. on the night she was murdered. If indeed she called and was murdered sometime after 11 p.m., Mr. Simpson points out in his lawsuit that is an ironclad alibi. Why? Because he was on the airplane heading for Chicago.
It's only 4 hours of the Browns' phone records, and why is everybody behaving like they have something to hide? Everybody that believes in OJ's guilt is afraid to see the phone records.
So what I don't understand is why everybody is afraid to show the official copy of the telephone records. I mean, the Browns could have given these records some time ago.
This family has been through enough in having their son-in-law murder their daughter. They can keep those phone records as long as they want.
We're not doing this just for the sake of it. We're concerned about justice in this country.
Say I'm not going to be a dancing monkey. No, you don't get it, Mary. No, this is a jury.
Find him innocent or not.
Yes, they did.
That was the verdict.
Listen, you are absolutely right. We have to live with that verdict so that he can go and live in his
OJ.
Well, oh, yes, it is. Mary, this is about OJ being able to live in his right. No.
Why would a court system help cover up and keep from Mr. Simpson the telephone records which would prove his total innocence?
Friends, what this case really is is that OJ would like to return to what he perceives to be a white world.
I don't know who this witch is talking about.
Excuse me. You know, I'd like to know why OJ only will date white women and not black women. Does that trouble you at all, Mary?
No, it does not. That has nothing to do with anything.
I have absolutely no problem with it. The problem excuse me, Mary, I have no problem with it. The problem I have,
you bring it up all the time.
I've never brought it up, but Mary,
yes,
let me tell you.
Okay, so that is the book, Double Cross for Blood. Actually on Amazon. Let me put that up for you. You guys can look it up. You can also look at Legacy of Deception by Mark Singular. Mark Singular was a guy who was an investigative journalist. He actually had inside information from the Los Angeles Police Department about, and I've talked about this before, but he had discussed about the fact of blood evidence, how it was tampered with, how the LA Police Department or certain members were involved with it. It wasn't as if he was basically saying an entire LAPD cover-up, but basically certain people in power, including the Mark Furmans, someone like Furman and a few others, basically were able to change the crime scene. And they did it, were able to do it. It wasn't hard to do. And you can check that out. Let me just give you guys the link. I'm trying to find out. I don't think it's available in Kindle, but let me see. Because I'm in the Kindle section. So, yeah. This is it, Dr. Henry Johnson. Great book to have. Look up Legacy of Deception as well. But yeah, that tying that into the O.J. Simpson case, you know, I always thought that it was suspicious. And you can check out the movie for yourself. It's not the best of movies, but I thought it was interesting. And Glenn Rogers, certainly, I've heard stuff about him, and he is talked about in the book. He's also talked about by Dr. Henry Johnson and his brother Thomas. They discuss him, you know, in length about his role and how he based his MO was killing women that were blonde and were blonde women. But I was, you know, that were obviously good looking, which Nicole Brown Simpson, you know, white girl or not, white or black, she was an attractive woman. She was a gorgeous woman. I agree. And I always thought, and I wasn't interested in the fact that they did bring Faye Resnick up, because I always thought it was, you know, interesting. I thought it would have been basically a drug deal gone bad. And even OJ's attorneys, from Carl Douglas to F. Lee Bailey, have hinted at that. F. Lee Bailey on his website, and F. Lee Bailey has been kicked out of law. Do you guys know that? He cannot practice law anymore, even though he's up in age. He was disbarred by 3 different states. You know, and in part, it had a lot to do with him representing O.J. Simpson. So it was very toxic. You know, or they made it like that. The other thing that was interesting that I've always thought of is how, if O.J. Simpson were to kill these people, and of course in this movie they still had it to one killer, but one thing they showed, and of course they showed the murder, and it was very graphic, but I always suspected it was 2 individuals, and they did not show that. Of course, they also didn't show the fact that Ron Goldman had defensive wounds that was on his hand, indicating that he was in a fight or struggle, and in the movie didn't hint at that. But anyway, that's just my review. I didn't think it was the best movie done. I thought it was interesting as far as the subject and topic of it. And apparently Nicole Brown Simpson, and I think you would have to look it up, she had made complaints about this man chasing her. Of course, she, from the movie, the way they wrote, the way that the movie was shot, they made it, or the script was shot, if this was true, they made it look like she just slept with this man and she didn't even know his last name and didn't know him until she saw a picture of him flashing on television. But you know, I've suspected that could be the case, but remember something. Nicole Brown Simpson too was, and they still tried to tie OJ into the murder in the movie. So in some way, shape, or form. So that they weren't. So it's still part of that industry, still part of that narrative. But they won't accept anything unless he's solely guilty. That's just the way it is. So that's my review of it. You guys can check it out. It's not long, but it's not the best of movies. I'll just tell you that. But it wasn't too bad where I would say never see it again or this movie should have never been made. It was interesting. So speaking of films and movies, we're moving on to another subject. Okra has decided, this is the latest news as of yesterday, and I have the link here. Of course, 50 Cent's commented. But Oprah Winfrey has walked away from a Me Too documentary that she was a part of with Apple TV. It was going to be about the Russell Simmons accusers, obviously geared towards this Me Too stuff, in favor of three women who said Russell Simmons had attacked them or assaulted them. Oprah was going to produced it, and she also, I guess, was going to do an after-series talk like she did with the Michael Jackson docu-series Leaving Neverland. Although I don't call it a documentary, it was really a shit show, a biased shit show on a dead and a deceased individual. And I've never liked Oprah Winfrey. Let me just say that from the start. I was not a big fan of hers. I did respect her, some things that she did as far as being a businesswoman. Of course, being in my home with my mom, she was a huge Oprah Winfrey fan. She used to have the magazines, and when she was off from work, the first thing she put on at 3:00 in the afternoon was the Oprah Winfrey Show. And it was good, I guess, to see a Black woman on television who was a successful mogul, something that no one ever thought they would see. And my mom obviously looked up to stuff like that. And not just my mom, but I think a lot of women, Black and white, looked up to her. Men, and I'm just speaking even from my experience, we weren't really that much fans of Oprah. And I was never a fan of Oprah Winfrey, mainly because I noticed when I would be home when her and my mom would have that show on, everything that she did or said was in some way counterproductive to the family unit. And especially her show certainly was not pro-Black in the sense that she advocated for Black men. She usually used her platform to talk down, like men ain't shit, men aren't this and that. And you noticed on that show, never once did she have rappers on her show. Yes, she had Kanye West and Common later on, but I remember when she did a docu-series, she did an interview with the cast of Crash, and she had, of course, Ludacris was in that movie. The only time she wanted to talk with Ludacris was about his language used in rap lyrics and how bad rap was an influence on the community. She didn't want to talk about his role and what he was doing. She used her platform basically to talk down on him. Let's not forget what she did to Monique and how she interviewed Monique's abuser on television against Monique's wishes. Monique did not want her to do that and asked her not to, but she did it anyway. Why? Because she wanted to make money. And Oprah basically doesn't give a damn about no one. She doesn't care about these women who y'all buying her shit. She don't care anything about you. She cares about you when you buy her things, when you put money in her pocket. And really, as I learned and I've watched Oprah and I've heard things about her, Oprah was actually created by a man named Roger King. Roger King is who's responsible for Oprah Winfrey. And truth be told, Quincy Jones is even responsible for Oprah Winfrey to a degree, because when Steven Spielberg shot the movie The Color Purple, he was looking for a character to play and Quincy Jones recommended her when he saw a show called Chicago Live. Windy City Live, excuse me. I think that was it. And that's how Oprah got that position. And let's not forget, even the bad advice she would get, like telling women, she would bring these gurus on and bring people on like Dr. Phil, who's not even I don't even think Dr. Phil is a licensed psychologist. If I'm not, I might be wrong about that. There have been questions about Dr. Phil's background. She never invited, when she wanted, speaking of O.J. Simpson, to come on the show, she would not have him on the show unless he confessed to the crime. She would not have him on there, but she was willing to have a racist like Mark Furman come on her show, and basically have Chris Darden come on the show, and the Goldman family. Basically, they made, it's funny when you say they don't want you exploiting the legacy of Nicole Brown and Ron Goldman, but these people have been pimping it. I'm just going to say it. They've been pimping this topic off for years. They've been pimping these kids for years. They have made money off of this stuff. Michael Jackson's name, Bill Cosby, everything. They make money off of this. They don't care about justice. All of the stuff that we're seeing now with this Me Too thing, it's a money grab. And 50 Cent, I have the article, he applauded Oprah, I guess, for stepping away, but he called the documentary bullshit, but we support Me Too. I've already told you guys what I've thought about the Me Too movement, why I'm not a big supporter of it. It's not that I don't believe that those things happen. Yeah, of course they happen. Yes, they got predators in Hollywood. Absolutely. But most people know that when you go up to the room of a non-married man or the apartment of a married man at 12 o'clock at night, doesn't even have to be married. You're not going up there to say the rosary. You're not going up there to be tutored. That's why I seriously question this stuff about Bill Cosby, because Andrea Constand even admitted she knew he was married, and still, even after the so-called assault, went up to him. And by the way, speaking of Oprah, Oprah has not even commented on that case about Cosby. As many times as Bill Cosby has gone on the Oprah Winfrey show to talk to her audience, to educate people, let's not forget also that, Oprah has been sued in the past. Her father, even, since we're talking about Me Too, what's interesting is she's doing this stuff on Michael Jackson, on Russell Simmons, but her father's even been accused of doing some of sexual misconduct. And she had to pay a woman off to keep her quiet. Her school in South Africa has had issues with girls being molested that she started. And that's another thing. What is it with these celebrities that go to these foreign nations and set up schools, and they can't set up schools right here, right in the jungles that we have? And I hate to even use that word. I hate using that. But let's be real. A lot of these places are terrible. Our inner cities are horrible. If I look in New Orleans, you look at the infrastructure, even the suburbs out here in New Orleans, like New Orleans East, which was a beautiful area, it's gone to shit. Baltimore, Donald Trump got in trouble when he called it a rat-infested area, and y'all were all upset about what he said. How dare he say that? That was racist. You categorize that. Well, let's not forget the man who criticized, one of the people criticizing him, Elijah Cummings, had a video. There was a video leaked, well, not leaked, but had been out, of him saying the exact same thing 20 years prior. We can't ignore reality just because it may hurt some people. The truth hurts. Like Lizzo says, truth hurts. I don't even listen to Lizzo, but I just thought because she's current. It would be fun to mention her name. I've already commented on her too. I don't know if I want to even get into that, but her and Jillian Michaels and Dr. Boyce Watkins, they've been back and forth. Jillian Michaels, of all people, I remember Jillian Michaels even talked shit about Al Roker, and Al Roker shut her carpet munching ass down. Because she's talking out of her mouth now. And I don't really care for Lizzo, and yeah, maybe and I think to a degree, while she's talented, she does not set a good example for our young black girls. I think cooning and buffooning is not the way to go when you go out like that, especially at a Lakers game. And it's not, I guess, the body type that people have a issue with, but more or less, I think the buffoonery that she did, that really is what caught attention to it. Because I know big women playing. And yeah, everybody who's overweight or obese, and I mean, I'm overweight. It's not healthy. But there are a lot of people who are even thinner are not healthy. Let's be real about that. They got people who are thin that smoke. They got people who are thin that, may have liver problems, kidney problems, may have hepatitis. There's a lot of people that have their own issues that they have to deal with at the end of the day, and that's their issues. But certainly, I don't like being dragged into it, and they don't have to force me to applaud it either. I get that as well. But let me get back on Oprah. So I just never really understood I understood what the fascination with Oprah was with our women in the community. And honestly, I think to a degree, she's responsible, or at least plays a part in the breakup of the family. And let me say why. Because everything that she taught basically was, women can do this, men ain't shit. I always got that vibe from Oprah. This topic she would discuss, the fact that she, used her platform to speak down on black men. Whenever you saw Oprah Winfrey, she rarely talked about racial issues on her show. If she did it from a perspective of a big, I have to say it, like a mammy. And that's who she was. That's who she is. And I lost a lot of respect for Oprah, not because she has money. I'm not jealous about, you can have all the money in the world and you can still be an asshole. You can be a bitch. You can be whatever. I respect people that get their money. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with someone else's success. God bless them. What I have a problem with is when you use your platform to shame me, to shame my brothers and sisters. And we even saw that this week. Various other men now, as a result of these accusations, as a result of Me Too, are coming out accusing various people of things. And it almost seems like it's surreal. It is surreal to see that. If it's not Cuba Gooding Jr., it's Trey Songz. If it's not Trey Songz, it's Chris Brown. Am I saying these guys are innocent? I'm saying that they're innocent until proven guilty. Yes. Until we see some evidence, until we know exactly what the facts are, I don't think it's fair to just jump up and just promote a lynch mob. And to a degree, R. Kelly, and I'm not a fan of R. Kelly. I do think there's truth to some of the accusations against R. Kelly, but I also believe a lot of times these parents did pimp their children off to R. Kelly. I do believe that. I do believe that adults now that are coming out trying to say that, R. Kelly was a monster and so forth, they need to be in jail too. They need to be in trouble as principals to this stuff, as principals to his crimes, as accessories before the fact. If you helped Aaliyah get a driver's license knowing that she was under his age so she could get married to R. Kelly, you're just as guilty as he was. But I also think, too, that some of these women, like the living girlfriends, I think they're full of shit. The gravy train has run out. He has no money. He's not making any songs anymore. He's not there. They're probably going to get evicted from that apartment soon. So now let me turn on the waterworks. Oprah, can you help me? I was abused too. Help me, Oprah. I'm going to lose Z. And look, if I'm wrong for that, people may think I'm wrong, but I just feel that way. I'm sorry. I don't believe that. And when they met him, even when you look at some of the videos, some of these girls are with their parents. One girl was with her parents. I saw a picture of this. She's meeting R. Kelly outside the courtroom with her mom and dad, with her mom there, taking a picture after he's been acquitted of child pornography. Just think about that. You think about that for a second. What parent does that in their right mind? In Chicago where Oprah Winfrey, stays. And another thing, I would be happy with Oprah if Oprah would use her platform to help a lot of brothers and sisters. Now, I'm not talking about just giving monies to HBCUs, but if she used her platform, just like I think Tom Jordan was negligent with his platform, although I could say to a certain degree, Tom did a little bit more than Oprah, but all the stuff going on with Black people now, Oprah Winfrey and Jordan, they never use their platform to directly talk against the system. The only time, Tom Jordan would have anybody on probably was later in his career before he retired, but he used his platform basically to push for the Democratic Party. They never challenged these leaders. And you see it now with the fact that the Democrats have no one to put in office. No one really, to challenge Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not going to get impeached, and he certainly will not lose the election. Trust me on that. People, believe it or not, the American people are not worried about Ukraine and Russia as much as they are concerned about, keeping their 401k and keeping their money intact. They're worried about capitalism, making dollars. Now, I'm not a Trump supporter. And certainly a lot of people were upset or scared about this crisis in Iran and what's going on. Listen, Barack Obama, when he was president, authorized drone strikes against countless people, countless countries. So I've seen the memes of people saying, we didn't have to worry about this when this guy was in office. We forget Obama had issues with Libya. The stuff that we know now of why, and he called it his biggest mistake. So he's not innocent. He's not, and I'm tied it to Oprah because Oprah was even involved. Remember, Oprah was the one that helped get Barack Obama started. She endorsed him before I think he even won a caucus. The caucuses even began. Before the primaries even started, she was one of the few major celebrities that actually backed him. And that actually helped him get in office. And and they went to the same church. And remember, Obama threw his pastor under the bus. And Oprah even went to that same church. I really think that Obama, and you can worship him if you want. A lot of our people have problems, I think, with accepting the fact that our loved ones can fuck up. And the bottom line is Barack Obama, he was not great for Blacks. His record speaks for itself. Now, debate me on it if you want, but look at his record. Look at what he stood for. Everything he stood for was pro-Democrat, and pro-Democrat was certainly anti-Black. I'm starting to realize that. I'm a member of the Democratic Party as I registered as that when I was 18 years old. I have regrets about it because they haven't done anything for us, and we keep putting them in office. We look to these celebrities. Stop worshiping these celebrities, people. I'm telling you. They're human just like us. So I'm glad Oprah Winfrey, she quit the docuseries because we put pressure on her. We were very critical. 50 Cent was critical of her. Tariq Nasheed. I was critical of her. We called out the hypocrisy. We got to call stuff out like this that we see. Just like this stuff with Lonnie Love, her big, and I've never met Lonnie. Lonnie was on Facebook. I called her out on her BS for what she said about black men and cheating. We got enough to deal with where the biggest threat, black men are the biggest threat, not just in the United States, but in the world. We're the most admired and we're the most hated at the same time. People want to be us, but don't want to be us. Like Paul Mooney once said, everybody wants to be a nigga, but nobody want to be a nigga. I understood what Paul was saying, because what Paul's basically saying is you love black culture, but you don't like black people. Sorry, guys, it's just my fan. I'm looking at it. What's making all that daggone noise? But yeah, we're good. Yeah, you love the culture, but you don't love the people. And certainly, when we see cases like, when you look at cases and examples where a black woman is given a platform, and we're talking about this with Oprah, let's look at Lonnie Love, and you make your platform, first and foremost, when you make comments about black men cheating and saying how, tying it to slavery, and how we're just not capable of having lasting relationships. I have to ask you, of being faithful in a relationship, I have to ask you, Sister Lonnie Love, how can you make such a blanket statement like that and not disrespect your father? Are you saying your father cheated on your mother? Are you saying that your brother is an unfaithful husband? What the hell? What the fuck are you saying? How stupid you sound. How stupid do you sound to say something like that? Black men were favorable because of slavery. Let's listen to the comment. Here it is. Now, in fairness, she was responding to Joe Budden's statement that he made with regards
in
to
the
Kevin
black
Hart.
community.
But I want to, here it is. This is her show is real, and of course, I'm playing this for y'all because 90% of you probably don't even watch the show. I don't either. But here it is. Who cares?
Community. I want to, I don't speak for the black community, but I do think that a lot of black men, they really don't know how to have true, faithful relationships. They think because they have money, because they have power, that they can treat women any kind of way.
Lonnie Love the same thing.
And
that's Amanda Seals. Amanda the Seal. That's what I call her. Unfunny heifer. I don't even know how she gets a job, but this is the prototype that Oprah Winfrey created. Yeah, thank Oprah for her too. We'll blame her for Lonnie. Let me continue playing. Hold on.
It's something we need to work on. We need to work on it. That money and power does not mean that you can just do whatever you want to do.
I think sadly in so many cultures that is the whole machismo thing. Like that goes across the board. But I'm gonna say
it's not across the board, because what is happening is that we are still dealing with.
Now that was a girl from 3LW. That was Rob Kardashian's ex. What's her name? Adriana Bellon. That's her. Okay. What's up, Lindell? Let me finish the video.
With the point of slavery and we are descendants of slavery. And because our families were broken up, we still do not have an idea.
You're bringing up slavery to mention about why men cheat. Now you know she don't know what the hell she's talking about. Let's go on.
Together, families, because our families were broken up.
Yeah,
and until we really
from that perspective, I absolutely
Not just slavery, welfare reform in the 60s and 70s. Like this is a long.
Longer
so when you hear because I want to say, when you hear Joe Budden say, he worked so hard. It's not a bad thing. He's saying, Kevin don't want to be poor no more. Okay, so he's like, let me go out here and make this money because I don't want to go back to where I was in Philly. So what he was saying was he was using it as an excuse, and we modernize it and say, but that's not, no, but you got to understand the whole psychology behind it. That's the reason why he's working so hard, because he don't want to go back to where he came from, because then he'll lose the power.
And him working so hard is affecting his relationship.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it is a
conundrum.
Correct.
Now, Lonnie Love is not even, okay, so that's the end of it. Lonnie Love is not even in a relationship with a black man. She's dating a white man, from my Facebook post, from what I've seen in pictures. And so she makes this blanket statement about black men cheating, and yet you're not even with a brother. And maybe the reason why some brothers aren't with you might be because you have a nasty attitude. Sometimes it is you. I don't know your relationship, sister. I don't know you personally. And maybe I may meet you, maybe not. It doesn't hurt me. But you made a blanket statement like that with all the stuff that we got going on in America right now, with black men being shot by police in their own homes. And you think that this is appropriate to get on national TV and make a blanket statement that black men can't be faithful. Yes, one thing I do agree with you on. The black community with welfare reform, those things, in family unit, I'll say that. The family unit has been broken up. That I agree with. It is not the same as it was 40, 50, 60 years ago. And that was done on purpose, but not because black men have a problem with being faithful. If you look at some of the statistics, black men are actually great fathers. They actually are more involved in their children's lives than what many people would want to think. They actually provide for their children. They want to be engaged in their lives. And of course, there are situations where the women in those relationships will actually try and keep the father away. But this is when I'm talking about a platform, and you can reach hundreds of thousands of people. Now, The Real has been on for about 6 years, but The Real is kind of those shows like The Talk, and of course, it's the platform for the Oprah Winfreys, because they have the black woman on there, the big black woman, like they had. I think on The Talk it was Star Jones, and now, no, not The Talk, excuse me, The View. It was Star Jones, and then it became. Then when they had, what's the other show? The Talk. That's Cheryl Underwood. And now with the Real, they have Lonnie Love. And I remember when Cheryl Underwood said something, and I like Cheryl, but Cheryl has said some things that was slick. She has been some stuff that's coolish. And, Cheryl Underwood, Lonnie Love was the prototype of this. And even with Whoopi Goldberg, what did they all have in common recently? They all shitted on Bill Cosby. Now, Whoopi, at first, she didn't. Whoopi was very supportive of Cosby, and she was objective. But when she was being objective and asking tough questions, which is something that we are supposed to do in our society when someone is accused of a crime, what happened? She did a whole 180 because her handlers told her, you have to say no to this. You can't ask this. You can't be like this, because she didn't want to lose her job. This is why it's important to have your platform. This is why it's important, my people, when we ask for donations, when we ask for you to support our channels, to give money, it's so that we can continue to put lights on. You know, this is a business. You complain about the fact that we don't have these things. We don't have a Black-owned network. We don't have a Black-owned radio station like Dr. Claude Anderson talks about all the time when he talks about how Black economic ownership, how there's no Black community. We have Black neighborhoods, but not a community. We don't even control Black radio stations, how small they were. We don't control Black print. We don't own any Black newspapers. Very few of them now. Of course, the internet is killing things, but things of that nature. Remember, Ebony Magazine is gone. Ebony is gone. Essence, I think, was recently repurchased by a Black man. But remember, Essence was owned by Time Warner at one point. But if you want to seek more content like this, if you don't want to have to listen to Alani Love or to anyone who is basically being put on there as a stooge and as a puppet to spew white supremacist rhetoric, someone like an Oprah Winfrey, who uses her platform to shame Black men, who, you know, wants to give women relationship advice but has never been married in her life and doesn't even want to have children. This is a woman who also says she wished she was white. And we listen to her. People listen to her. We can't leave stuff like this unchecked because it's dangerous. People are entitled to their opinion, absolutely, but so are others. And I wasn't going to let, and I did in a peaceful way, call Lonnie Love out on this because I thought she was 100% wrong in doing that, to make a generalization like that. And, you know, if she wants to reach out to me, I don't know if she'll see this video, probably not. But, you know, I'm open to talk. We can have dialogue and explain what my point is, why I feel she was wrong for saying that. But I'm putting it out right now. She was wrong, period. You know, all of this cooning and buffooning that we do, we don't need that anymore. Cheating, I say this on the cheating aspect. Part of the reason why men cheat, main reason is the ego thing. And I agree with Charlemagne and had said, I don't really listen to Breakfast Club, but he had said something about it's an ego thing. I agree with that. That is true. And I also think too, it also could be about the woman. Maybe that's the reason why someone cheated on you. You know, women cheat. I mean, women cheat. Nobody ever thinks about that. Sometimes a woman may not be great. So it's getting late, guys. Thank y'all for staying up with me. Lindell, I see you, whoever's in here. I wonder if Steve is in there. Steve, are you here? We've been on for almost an hour. So I'm going to end the program for the night, the live stream. You guys check out the movie, The Murder of Nicole Brown Simpson. If you want to continue to see platforms like this, I'm asking you guys, I'm telling you, you need to subscribe to the channel and please donate to the Cash App that I have, Gavin Richard Esquire, as well as my Google Pay. So continue to support independent Black thought because it's needed. And you see why it's needed when you hear things of that nature, comments like this, when we have people who don't represent us accurately making wild statements and accusations that are harmful to the community. You know, it's important to keep us on here. So you guys be safe, be blessed, enjoy the rest of the weekend. Gosh, it goes quick. I'll holler. I'll continue to make these videos until they tell me not, until I'm forced off. Then they don't tell me not to. I do what I want until I get tired and I don't want to do it anymore, until you guys stop watching. But I'm not concerned about losing a job or business, because I like to build. I want to do for me. I like to make money on my own. I like to support my own. Like, there's nothing like being better than your own boss, when you can get up in the morning whenever you want to. Of course, truthfully, in my field as an attorney, I can't just always get up whenever I feel like it, because there are times when I have to go to work. I have to go to court at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm required to. But, there's nothing better than that. So you guys be blessed, be safe. I'll holler. Continue to support independent Black thought, support channels like Nicole's View, support Your World by Harvey Superboy, support Tariq Nasheed. Of course, he's big. He's making his money. He's made his money. He's made his money. But even Taurine Rain and We All Be News, Brother Ron, love you, brother. Taurine Rain, shout out to you. Professor Black Truth, all of them. People, the truth seekers out here. You guys continue to support Professor Black Truth, the Black Authority, all you guys. All right? So with that, good night. Enjoy the rest of your day. Lindell, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. You guys, I will holler. Peace.